like to welcome you to this interview, and just for the record, can you please state your name and rank?
My name is John Cole, David Cole, and I was Master Sergeant in the Air Force.
Okay. Where did you live and work during the war before you were...
I was born down in Winkelman Hill, town, a little burg, Rudiment was the name of it,
Okay.
in the Shawnee National Forest.
Okay.
And it's a tourist trap now, but my dad had a potato farm and he had goats, and that was it.
Okay. So, let's see here. What was your feelings on the war before you got into it?
Well, there wasn't a war when I got into it.
Oh, okay.
I joined the Air Force when I signed papers when I was 16.
Okay.
And I entered the Air Force when I was 17 by 6 days. I took the oath of enlistment up in Chicago. And I went to basic training, Sampson Air Force Base, New York. And then I went to Bowling Air Force Base. I was a mail clerk there. And then I shipped out for Korea, and the Korean War was over then, of course. But my outfit had transferred back from Korea to Japan. I ended up in Japan. And Itazuki Air Base down the southern island, Kyushu. And I was a supply clerk then.
Okay.
And yeah, the 8th Fighter Bomber Wing was my outfit. They had a base in Korea that they K8 Kunsan, Korea, and we went back and forth between Itazuki and Kunsan quite often.
Okay.
And let's see, then I went back to the States from there, and I was assigned to, in South Dakota, Rushmore Air Force Station, South Dakota, is a nuclear supply outfit. They had A-bombs and nuclear weapons there. And we provided bombs for Ellsworth Air Force Base.
Okay.
And I was there for 4 long years. I put in for Germany when I got there, and I was there for 4 long years. Anyway, I married my wife then, Sherry, and then I shipped out for Germany. I was with ADC, Air Defense Command, most of the time.
Okay.
And I was with the military police in Germany for a while. And I was up at Langerkopf radar station above Kaiserslautern, Germany. And I was there for 3 years. But I made staff there, and I got put up, well, let's see, how do I describe it? We had, the Soviet Union was in power then, and Berlin had 3 air corridors going into Berlin, and we controlled the Central Corridor and the South Corridor. And Curtis LeMay was up there in the dais, and Bones Marshall, he was the Colonel Marshall then, he was in charge of the radar site. And anyway, I was in administration then, and then I left there. I went back to the States, and I married Sherry, my wife then.
Okay.
And in '62, and then I went back to the States, to Sioux City Air Base, Sioux City, Iowa. And It was Sioux City Air Defense Sector then, and my daughter Kathy was born there,
Okay.
and then let's see. Then I went to Vietnam then, from there, and let's see, I was there for a year and a month in Vietnam during Tet. Tet offensive was, you know where Tet, what was the,
I've heard the stories.
yeah, I was there during Tet, and then I came back to the States, and then Sherry joined me, and we went to Italy, Aviano, Italy. And David was born in Aviano. My son David was born in Aviano. That's 41 years ago. And then I came back and went to Vandenberg, California then. And I was a first sergeant in Italy. I was a first sergeant in California, and I was a first sergeant in my last assignment. Let's see, Vandenberg, California. Lompoc was on one end, and Santa Maria is on the other end of it. And let's see, those Navy destroyers went ashore there in Lompoc. They thought it was the Santa Barbara Canal. And the Navy destroyers went ashore there, and they thought it was the Santa Barbara Canal, but it was Point Arguila or something like that. And they went ashore, and one followed the other, and they all ended up on the rocks there. They were World War I destroyers. And I got an associate degree out in Santa Maria. And I came back, I got a bachelor's degree in Illinois State University, but I went from Vandenberg to Empire Air Force Station, Michigan, and Grand Traverse Bay, Michigan. You know where Grand Traverse Bay?
No.
The Indians used to call that the Grand Traverse because they take a shortcut down there with their canoes, and they'd enter the one arm of the bay, and they go ashore in Empire, Michigan. That's where I was stationed. I was the first sergeant of the squadron then, and there was just one squadron base. They had a junior NCO academy there, and I went to senior NCO academy there in '74. They was going to keep me in the Air Force, and I didn't enlist again. But I was in there for 20 years and a month, I think, 2 months.
Okay.
And
Wow, that's
yeah,
That's
I came home then.
a long time.
a career.
Now, how did, since you've been to so many places, how did that affect you? Like, because I know my father was in the military, and he was away from his family a lot. So was that on the back of your mind, especially when you went and served in Tet for a little bit, your family back home?
Well, I had an accident with the Jeep when I was in Germany, and Mom says, well, I had it, I was living in a town named Lyman, and they had a cross up there, a Catholic cross, and then they had a pillbox behind it. And I had an accident with a Jeep in Germany, and I messed up my jaw, and I mixed up my brain and everything else. And when I came home, Mom says, "Oh, what have they done to you?" And I don't know.
Let's see. Now, how did you feel about all the anti-war protests, seeing as you were in the military?
I was fed up with it for a while, but I go along with it now.
Okay.
Vietnam War, Korean War, they were bullshit. Yeah, they were bullshit.
Okay. So then, did you kind of see a reason why we were over there, or?
You know, at first I did.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we were going to win the war. Well, during TET, they took all the major provincial capitals,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought we were winning.
Mm-hmm.
Walter Winchell got on the news. He says, "The war's lost," and but I sort of hated Walter Winchell for that, but he's right.
He was a very powerful voice, Walter Winchell, especially on radio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had a stroke.
Okay. No, you kind of already touched on this a little bit, but as far as your views on the war, so when you went in, you were supportive of what we were doing over
Oh
there?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well, there was a big difference in World War II was very different than
Yeah.
Korean conflict or Vietnam. In fact, I think everything's been different since World War II. That World War II involved a huge investment from all the major European nations
Yeah.
and beyond, the Pacific nations.
Colin Powell was in the Army then,
Right?
and he was a captain. He made captain when he first went to Vietnam, and he was lieutenant colonel when the second time he went to Vietnam. And he learned.
I think, yeah. And then was a Desert Storm where
Yeah.
he was that his? He did that. Was his
Yeah,
last one?
he was
He
chief
left
of
after
staff
that.
of there, all the military then.
Yeah.
How did you? Let's see here. How would you describe the ways that the war changed your life?
Well, when we went to Italy, I heard the rockets going off because they're trying to break the cloud formations up, coming over the mountains, and for the grape fields, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's rockets were up in the air, and I thought it was an attack. I said, "Sherry, where's the bunker? Where's the bunker?" I think that's a form of PTSD.
I think that's what a lot of people had to deal with that.
Do you have any thoughts about your wartime experience that you want to share with future generations so they can understand what you went through?
Well, I went through TAT, and I shot my M16 around. They were coming through the main gate of Pleiku, and the Reds were, VC, Viet Cong, whatever. And the officers were on one side of the road, and the enlisted guys were on the other side of the road. And I shot my M16 where I could see them. I was in town that night. That began, and I sent a bar girl to get some cigarettes for me. I was smoking then, and she said the VC. She came back. She said the VC are everywhere. Viet Cong are everywhere, and I got down in a ditch. Well, I went outside and I saw the VC were everywhere, and I didn't have any arms with me. I was in civilian clothes then, t-shirt and khaki pants. But I got down the ditch, rice paddy, behind the place, and I went all the way around the town, and the Green Beret officer was on the other side, loading them into 6x trucks. And so I got in that truck, and then got back to the base, and Itazuki Air Base, Itazuki Air Base, and I got my arms then, and the officers were on one side, and on one side of the road, and the enlisted guys were on the other side. And Colonel Birdsong was in command, and Smitty, Smitty said, "Turn out your lights." He's in an automobile then. But I shot at what I could see. It's too dark to see anything, you know. I couldn't see my front sight. I couldn't see anything. I shot at wherever I thought was red. And that's it.
Now, a lot of people going into the military make a lot of lasting friendships. Did you have a lot of friends that you served with? Did you have a lot of friends that you served with?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did that make it easier when you were traveling and away from your loved
Oh,
ones?
yeah.
Do you still maintain contact with any of your friends from then?
Well, no, I don't. There's one guy by the name of Bennett that served with me. He's over in Indiana now. He's running a printing shop, and I got in contact with him a few times. And the rest of the guys are all over the...
Just spread out?
Yeah, they're all over the world. One guy's in France.
Well, you had friends in several different places
Yeah.
because you had served so long.
Yeah.
So that was a long stretch and a lot of people to remain in contact. That'd be hard to do over that period of time.
Yeah, you know, while we were in Vietnam, he got some French salami and some French wine. And we both sit down and drink that wine. Boy, it's good wine, too.
Now, did you find yourself trading stuff you got, rations for anything, or did people do that very much with rations?
We had sea rations then. And we had sea rations in the mess hall once in a while. But we had pretty good food there.
Did you?
Yeah, we had pretty good food. We had SOS quite a bit.
I don't know what SOS.
Shit on a shingle.
Oh, okay. Now I know what. So I think I know what you're talking about. Is that the brown gravy on rice or some kind of a?
No. It's
On meat?
chip beef.
On mashed potatoes?
No, chip beef and
toast.
cream gravy on toast.
Toast. Okay. I was in the right area, right vicinity.
They fed that a lot to the military.
Now, my dad, I told you he was in World War II. He told me about the powdered eggs.
Yeah, we had powdered eggs.
He didn't like that. He wanted real eggs, but they couldn't get farm eggs. I mean, they had big kegs of powdered eggs that they'd make up for breakfast.
We had sea rations once in a while. And they used to have cigarettes in sea rations. They took them out of there a little later.
Why do you think? Why did they do that? Just
Because
people were selling them?
no,
Or something, or-
bad for your health.
Oh, okay. I see.
Now, since you were in the military for so long, how was it easy for you to adjust to civilian life once you were out?
Pretty tough.
Yeah.
Pretty tough. I went back home. Home was in East Peoria, and me and Dad got along together then, and he's the one that drove me out of home, and we got along together then, and it was tough adjusting. I went to ISU then, and got a bachelor's degree, and
That was Indiana State.
no, Illinois State.
Illinois State. Okay, that's a different ISU.
Bloomington Normal.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got a bachelor's degree then. It was pretty rough getting together.
Now, was that covered by the GI Bill?
The GI Bill and
Because they stopped doing it, I think, at some point
Yeah.
for service people. But some people got their college paid for,
Yeah.
and then they changed it. I know
Yeah.
at some point. were you able to take advantage of that?
Yeah, I took advantage of it, yeah.
Yeah, my dad did that too. He got all of his college paid for. And he got an FHA loan, because you could get, or the VA, what was it? Was it VA loan? There were different kinds of loans you could. For
VA
houses,
loan.
VA loan for house.
Yeah.
They had that. And were you able to take advantage of that also? Or?
No, I didn't.
That was a pretty good deal for people coming out of service.
We got a home in Elmwood, Illinois, between Galesburg and Peoria, and we moved down to San Antonio, Texas from there, and I worked for Turbine Support then as an engineer, and then we moved. We stayed down there for 2 or 3 years. David was just entering high school then, and played in the Southwest High School band. And
what did he play? I'm curious. What
trumpet.
Well, that's the best instrument there is. I teach the trumpet.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, so you're okay with me.
Yeah.
He plays trombone.
Trombone.
Yeah. He plays guitar. So we're all a bunch of musicians sitting here, I guess.
Yeah, Lackland Air Force Base is down there. We used the commissary. David played golf out there on the golf course, Lackland's golf course, and we had benefits then,
Oh yeah. Military benefits are usually pretty good.
Now, you talked a lot about you going to college and getting your degree. What actually did you end up studying?
I studied accounting and finance.
Oh, okay. Going after the money.
I've gone for a CPA degree, but I ended up being an engineer.
Oh, I heard you say that. Now, what was it? Electrical engineering or what kind of engineering?
Mechanical
Oh,
engineering.
mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
How did you get into that? That's a pretty interesting.
Well, I took the apprenticeship at Caterpillar.
Ah, okay, all right. So that led to. Were you interested in it, or did it start out just as a job, and then you got?
I wasn't interested in it at all. I
Fell into a job doing it, and then that
Yeah.
got you.
I ended up in job service, job service in Illinois,
Yeah.
and I was a vet rep then,
Oh, okay.
and I liked that job. I retired out of that
You've
job.
been in service long enough, you could be that you could get that position.
Yep.
Now, what kind of training did the military give you, as far as, because I know my father was a CV, and he had construction training that helped him out after he got out. Did you receive a kind of specialized training while you were in?
Well, I Kirk typist, and I didn't receive much training.
Okay.
I didn't. I was with the ADC, Air Defense Command, most of the time, and that's gone now. They take care of it with satellites now.
Okay.
That's right.
Let's see.
I got a question.
Okay.
I want to ask you your advice on something. Military's changed quite a bit. What would be your advice for these guys, anybody in college, when they're looking at military? Would you say that's a good career to look at? Because
Yeah.
you spend a lot of time.
Yeah, yeah.
What would be your advice as far as a career in military service?
Air Force.
Would you advise somebody to go to Air Force?
Yeah, commissioned,
Okay.
and in the Navy. Army too, if you go to infantry.
For infantry.
Yeah, infantry. If you're smart, go to infantry, because most of the military leaders. Eisenhower, he was in infantry,
Right.
and Colin Powell was in infantry,
Yeah.
and George Patton was. Well, he was in tanks, he was in the cavalry, but he ended up in the infantry too. And Air Force, Navy, Army, Marine Corps, if you're a jarhead.
Did you ever interact much with Marines?
Yeah. Yeah, we fought with them.
I was going to ask you, sometimes there are battles between the different branches.
Yeah, we fought with them up there in Great Lakes Naval Station.
Ah,
You know, the Bowling Air Force Base where I was at, Bowling Generals. Ernie Warlick was the
oh, the generals, okay.
Bowling Generals was a football team. And Ernie Warlick was on that team. And they played Baltimore. It's Baltimore
Baltimore Colts.
Colts, and they beat them.
Is that right? Was that with Johnny Unitas in it? The
Yeah,
quarterback for Colts?
yeah. He's a Navy guy.
Oh, Johnny Unitas was a Navy guy? I didn't know that. He had a crew cut, I know that.
But the Bowling Generals, Ernie Warlick was on that, and he went on to play with the Buffalo Bills.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Now, do you watch a lot of football?
Oh,
Right now?
Packers.
Oh, you're a Packers fan.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't get to the. They didn't get the playoffs, didn't they? They get
No,
they
the
get
Packers.
They didn't get the
New
playoffs.
York Giants beat them.
That's right.
First round.
Well, that's
They made it
that's
that
why.
Yeah, they did
because
make the playoffs.
They ended up winning the Super Bowl. So
I'm
that was-
also a Cardinals fan.
Oh, you're
Oh,
a
okay.
St. Louis Cardinals fan.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you play sports?
Very few. I was
Yeah.
a cross country runner, and
Oh, that's a sport.
yeah.
That's a tough sport, cross country.
Yeah.
What about lifting weights? Did you lift weights or anything like that?
You know, I lifted dumbbells, but
Yeah.
that was it.
Is there anything that you were looking to talk about your experiences that you wanted to share?
Well,
Was there any special experience that stood out over 20 years? If you had to think back about 20 years, which one would stand out the most to you? Would it be going overseas or something happened stateside or?
you know, I was at Parks Air Force Base in California, and we were waiting to see whether we'd go over by ship or by airplane. I was one of the lucky guys that went by airplane, but C-1,
C-130s?
no, C-121s.
Oh, okay.
They're
That's a smaller.
4-engine prop jobs.
Yeah.
And they had those they had those halos around the plane.
Oh, the radar.
No.
You talking about the radar plane?
No, they were St. John's lights or something like that.
Oh, I don't think I know what that is.
Yeah, they were sort of St. John's lights or something like that.
The lights kind of cast a halo around the plane.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
I don't think I've seen that. That sounds very interesting.
C-121 prop jobs.
Okay.
Howard Hughes' plane.
Now you said you were lucky. You said you were lucky that you were able to fly instead of what? Take a boat ride or?
Yeah.
Did you not want to take a boat ride or?
Shit, no, because they
I guess
crammed
not.
those troops in there, and
Is that because they were shooting boats out of the water and you didn't want to be in one at
No,
the time? Or-
you get seasick, and
Oh, okay.
they feed you beans for breakfast and all that. And
My dad was in the Navy, so I
Yeah.
got all the Navy stories.
yeah,
Yeah.
the thing of it is too, we landed at Hickam Air Force Base in Hawaii, and we had a layover. Well, I got
What
bumped
was
off.
that like?
Huh?
What was that like in Hawaii at that?
Well,
That was pretty nice during that point in Hawaii,
it's-
wasn't it?
it's
Everybody-
55, and we went in a 55 Cadillac convertible. And we went up to
Stop.
Monroe High School, pick up girls.
Aha! Now we're getting to the real stories. These are the stories we wanted to hear about.
Yeah, and
Where did you end up going with all these girls? Did you?
We didn't pick any up.
Oh, you had us going there for a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard lots of stories here about exactly that. Now, I've heard stories about pineapple fields,
Yeah.
and did you ever hear any stories about the pineapple field?
No?
Well, I've done lots of interviews here, and I've heard guys telling about meeting somebody later at night in the pineapple field.
Well, you know, when the Japs bombed Pearl Harbor, they also hit Hickam Air Force Base. And they still have those bullet holes that the Japs put in the side of those barracks there.
Oh, is that right? They're still like that?
Yeah, they keep them there that way.
Preserve it so that everybody knows what it looked like.
There's Jap fighter planes in the midfield out there, too. Burned Jap fighter planes.
What do you remember where? And I've heard lots of people say they know exactly where they were on Pearl Harbor Day. Do you remember where you were the day that Pearl Harbor was attacked?
Well, I was a young guy then. I was in Evansville, Indiana.
In high school at the time, or
No. I was
just?
in grammar school.
Oh, really? Okay.
I just gone into first grade then.
Do you remember any of that, or did that all happen without you really being aware of it at
Yeah.
the time?
We were in Evansville then. Dad was building LSTs,
Okay.
and Frances Mobley was a little girl that broke me in. She was going into the second grade. I was going into the first grade.
She broke you?
She broke me in
Okay.
to sex.
Oh, okay.
And you know, the thing of it is, when I was in job service, many years later, this guy named Mobley came in.
Same name?
Huh?
Is that the same name?
Well,
Or is that,
I said, you know, I had a girlfriend many years ago named Frances Mobley. He said, I got her out in the car right now.
well, how did you react to that?
I went out there and saw her.
What did you say?
I said, hello. She's blushing and
What did
everything.
she say?
No, she's a good girl then.
Okay.
We saw her down in Kentucky later, and she says, I'm a good girl now. But, yeah. We moved to Golden Pond, Kentucky after the war was over with. Dad was in advertising then.
Okay.
And then, they had, Golden Pond then was a small burg. It had a hotel in it, and it had a hardware store in it, it had a pool hall in it, had a movie theater in it. No, it had a traveling show, a tent show. They had,
Like a carnival type?
no, they had a tent where they'd show movies once in a while.
Oh, okay.
Once a week or once every other week. And, yeah. You know, Kelsey Hooks was older than I was. He was in Golden Pond School, too. And this land between the lakes, you know, Golden Pond was right between the two lakes. And it's down south of Paducah. And Kelsey Hooks was a guy that he harnessed up 2 mules, and he had a potato sled that he pulled on it, behind it. And me and Glendale Underhill and a few other guys were on Kelsey Hooks driving the team. And mules wouldn't cross that wooden bridge.
Really?
Yeah, well, they heard their hoofs on the thing, and they wouldn't go across that wooden bridge. And they turned around, and his mom came down the road with a long switch, and I lost that little hatchet I had.
Was used the switch on the mules?
No,
Or what was the switch for? Just to...
hitting Kelsey with it.
Oh, okay. So apparently he had to go back home, I guess, after that.
Yeah. He graduated from Murray College, too.
Oh.
Kelsey looked at it. I got a hold of him later. He graduated from Murray College. But,
Are you still in touch with him now? Or?
yeah, well, I was in touch with him. And
Now, where were you when you heard the news that the Vietnam War was over with, and how did you feel about that?
I was just getting discharged, retired, and had a little Volkswagen convertible then, and me and Dave was singing Delta Don, what's that flower you got on? He's a young guy then.
I remember that.
Yeah. He says, "Who's the base commander here?" But we were going from Michigan down to Peoria, Illinois, and Vietnam War was over then in '75.
Now, could you tell the change in just the people you were around? Did it seem to be everybody was happier that it was over, or okay?
Yeah, I think everybody felt that because that started. A lot of people don't realize that started in the 1950s. That thing went on for 20 years. A very long war, just exhausted President Johnson, and I think every president had to deal with that.
John Francis Kennedy too.
Yep.
He started it out with Green Berets.
That was a lot of divisive. I went to college, started in 1966 at Indiana University. My first year was just hell because the campus was so separated, disconnected because of the war problem. And showing up when you're young, I was only 18 years old. I didn't know anything about it. You walk onto a campus that's just real hot. A lot of rioting and stuff like that. My first experience of what war was doing for a guy my age was it was dividing everybody up. Not like World War II. My dad talked about how it brought everybody together. It was unified everybody because then you had to against Hitler and Mussolini. And to see Stalin actually work out a deal with Churchill and Roosevelt, to see that was just that was a whole different time where people would unify together in their effort. Now I want to ask one. We got time for one more question. I want to ask you one more question. This is about where we are now in 2012. How do you feel about where the country is now for war? Because we're involved in Afghanistan. I don't know if you follow much of this.
Yeah.
What's your feeling about that? Because the military has changed a little bit.
Yeah. Well, Afghanistan. No, what's the name? That guy's the senator, congressman from southeast Texas. What's his name? Charlie Wilson's War.
Oh, Wilson's War. Yeah, the movie. They made a movie about that.
Charlie Wilson provided arms for Afghanistan to beat the Russians.
That was the other war before.
Yeah.
During when Russia
Now
was
they're
trying.
using the same arms against us in Afghanistan.
Right.
And
What does that feel like to know that?
yeah, well, I just don't know.
It seems. When I get back from students, they start to figure out why are we doing this.
Yeah.
It's a different time.
We seem to go to war every other year or so. We go to war. We're the war-making nation.
That's what I was going to say. Why is that? Why does this country seem to want to do that?
I
so
don't
much?
know. I don't know.
It seems to come to politicians or banks, money. I'm not sure what all is involved with that. But it's kind of confusing and frustrating to college students.
Yeah. I think it started out with the Revolutionary War, it went into the Civil War, World War I, the Spanish-American War,
Right.
and we're the ones that war making. We're the
Isn't
ones
that
that
something? That's
we're supposed to be at peace most of the time, and we're the ones that will war.
one more quick question. How are we going to do as a country? Are we going to make it?
Yes, we are.
What makes you say that?
Well, I'm optimistic because
Where do you get your optimism from? Is it
well, the Chinese have got more money than we have now.
we borrow from them all?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and but we'll make it. I'm optimistic about that.
Is it that spirit of the country, the way we're unique in the world?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's it. We're a pretty good country. I don't know. I think that we'll probably survive.
One thing about this country is a lot of people have opinions.
Yeah. Well, you know, Rome lasted for
It was about 200 years, I
Yeah,
think,
200
as
years.
a world power.
and we're just about that old now, and we're a little older than 200 years. We'll last for a few more years, you know.
I hope so. Well, this was a really good interview. Would you like to thank our guest?
Yes, thank you very much for telling us your story.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And thank you for your service, Dave.
Yeah.
It's good to talk with you.
Okay,
I hope
thank you.
I hope you enjoyed doing this interview. Did you like doing this?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. You need to give him a grade, and they know I'm going to do that. I'm their teacher, so I say this all the time. A, B, or C. I'm not going to give him a D or an F. I won't do that to him. But A, B, or C. What's your choice?
Oh,